Okay, so here's the realization of my grandeur ideas, right? Don't stop anything you're doing for yourself, right? Don't stop seeing your doctor. Don't stop seeing your therapist. Don't stop taking your meds. This is very important. This is so maybe you can talk with your therapist and have questions you didn't understand you had, right? The system don't work exactly for me, but I have taken things from the system to help cope. So there is good in there. It just don't work for everybody, right? So I'm not telling you to do any of this, and I'm not telling you to take advice from me. I'm just telling you to try and watch the process, so maybe you can give a little space for yourself and grace for yourself, because that's the first step, right? To forgive all the wrong you've done, because that's the voices that are keeping you down, the hopelessness that you can't go out there and not hurt someone's feelings or hurt someone that you love. Um, and like I said, I can't even imagine what the people had to be around me, you know? I tried, I really did. And I couldn't control it no more. So I just kept isolating and pushing and isolating and pushing and isolating and pushing. So yeah, whatever you're doing, you're working and whatever. That's cool, man. That's awesome. That works for you. I'm not telling you to take any advice of this. I'm just telling you to watch. And maybe you can pick something out of there, because all the times I went in, like 9 times, man, I did gather stuff from there. Once I learned the deceit and I shut off certain things, my brain wasn't stupid to say, oh, well, that's it. I'm taking my ball and go home, right? It did grab things that helped me. Smells and sound. That's how my brain learns, right? Smells and sounds. And it's funny because I brought up the thing about seeing pictures in my head at sometimes. I did that for years, I think, where I didn't communicate with words in my head, right? It was all pictures of something, like the basics in grade school: cat, and see a picture of a cat; dog, see a picture of a dog; Dick and Jane, the little story which we used to read. Yeah. Um, and people don't understand, you know. I may have went to public school and all black school, whatever, but we had some really cool science, and we had some really cool literature, and like in the second grade, and I think this was in Mississippi here at Wayland Elementary. Um, Miss Dutton, beautiful teacher, man. She was my first love of literature. Of She helped me understand where nouns go and all, and I might not be able to tell you today because I've lost all that, because I was panicking trying to breathe. And that's another thing, right? So the things that my brain kept to help me to get through that, I didn't appreciate that. I didn't see everything I gained just to survive that day. I seen everything I lost that I couldn't do that day. And that's debilitating if you let it keep on in your head, and just accept what you can do, and it's okay. You know, it has to be right now. And you know, you gotta, I've hurt more people trying to do what's expected of me, or what I've said I would do, than by just saying I really can't do it right now. You know, I can't tie my shoes. I'm wearing slip-ons. I don't know if I brushed my teeth yet. I'm sure I haven't, because I can taste the coffee and the cigarettes. But I took a shower last night, and that's an accomplishment. And no, I didn't use my face brush and my back brush and my foot brush, and because that's too complicated now, and I see that. And that was part of me not going to take a shower, because if the face rag touched a certain part of my body, I couldn't use that face rag on a certain part of my body, and I couldn't use that brush because it was told to me that that brush is a back brush, right? And those are debilitating things to me. That's not debilitating to other people. So I make it simple the last few times. I realized I was making it complicated, like documenting this, making the dishes complicated. Do what I can, be happy with it, wash what I need as I go. That's just the way I have to do it right now. And like I said, not everybody gonna like that, but I've heard them more by saying and giving them expectations that I can do what I thought I could do to begin with, and I used to be able to do. And I gotta see that, because that does hurt people, you know. So yeah, the realizations that's coming out, I wish you could see the physical of it, because that's the whole point, is showing the dogma, trying to get rid of my dogma of everything that's been told to me that I've been stifling, you know, because I didn't fit into that box or whatever, or that name that we just made up and gave to it. It none of that existed, but we kept going as a species. Like I said, the people who are sick that want that power and stuff, you know, um, some of them may have thought they were doing something good because it worked for them in their head. They might not have heard it out loud, and they thought they were doing good when bad actors get in there. Prayers, you know, they see prey. They not prayers, but hunters. They see prey, and that's how they survive to get through their confusion in their brain. And I have to keep that right now. I can't think revenge and what other people did to me, and what institutions that was supposed to help me didn't do. Right? That's where I got to be at in my brain. Because they're just as sick as I am, and they don't see it, you know, because they live their lifestyle and they think they're happy, and that may make them really, really happy. But you don't have to hurt other people to do it, and that's what I want to, you know, that's a drug too. That's a tool we misuse to have that power, to think that everybody should live the way we think they should live. That's the way it works for us. And by trying to force people to live the way other people live, it confuses their brain, guys. It really does. And then we start trying to fit in and do things we morally in our being know that isn't right. That's not, you know, and we don't see it. I don't blame no one. We don't see it. We all just trying to make money and live and pay our bills and not have our electric turned off, you know, and get gas in our car or our lawnmowers. It's you can't blame no one. You got to be able to handle it and understand that's where they are in life, and hopefully they'll grow and they'll see it before, you know, they hurt too many people that they pushed away, that they loved. That's all, you know. And I can see that for myself. I can see that for myself. And I think it's important that I get that out there, you know. It's not only that I can't help myself, it's so hard for me to help myself, to put myself first, because I try and make everybody comfortable around me. Are they in the right seat? Is the glare in their eyes? I analyze it so bad because I'm so uncomfortable. And I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, so my intentions start out good. And then I aggravate them. You know? And then I get scared. And I'm like, well, F you, I was trying to help. And that's wrong too, because they don't know that. They don't understand that's the only thing I know how to do right now, and I can't do nothing else. And that would make me feel better to give up my spot. I don't know why that is. Like, I remember as a kid in line, and like I said, I grew up in some rough city schools, you know. And you might not call it city because it was the West Bank at the time, and New Orleans was city, you know. But it was city to me, man. It was city. We had just many gang fights and stuff. I'd be on the second story window watching out. That's how I've seen my first murder at like 5. And then by a trusted authority, you know, that I was supposed to go to, that I needed help from. And I never gained that trust back, and I blame that whole part of the system that did that, right? It was just a person trying to make a paycheck that had to solve a situation right away because there was danger all around them, because people were shooting each other and people were stabbing each other with machetes and stuff. And I may have seen murders before that, but it was that particular service that was supposed to be there to protect, and he just shot him in the back of the head, handcuffed, because he couldn't speak English. And that never added up to me in life. Never. One human being trying to get through their life to get home to their family made a split decision, right? And I didn't see that. I didn't see that at the time. I don't think it was because of hatefulness. You know? They wanted to get home to the ones they loved. And shit was going down. And I used to say, I hate the police, F the police, F the police. And I don't. I hate the way they're trained, because I remember a time in the late 80s and the early 90s when we were friends with the cops, man. I had a snowball fight with them. It don't snow here much, but it did when I was like 17. I had to go to a Valentine's Day pageant. That's the only reason, because I was like, oh yeah, y'all think I'm just a tomboy? So I went into a beauty pageant. And I won everything except first place, because I found out the girl I was competing against, it was her birthday, and you're supposed to stand still and not talk and just be there as a statue for the judges. I can't do that. I found out it was her birthday, and she turned 18 that day. And I told her, I spun around, I was like, happy birthday. You know? Happy birthday. And that's okay. I won second, or first runner-up, or whatever it's called, you know. I won everything, the modeling part, which I never did, except for at home to keep balance. Because my mom was a model. She would walk between Maison Blanche and I think maybe Sears or J.C. Penney's when she was a teenager, and do modeling of clothes and walk through the department stores. And you had to walk a certain way to show that you were a model and not just a shopper. And she did hand modeling, stuff like that, because that was all that was available. You know? Like when she bartended, when she had to finally go back to work and leave me with people that I shouldn't have been left to, because they had their own issues. And I don't blame them either. You know, none of them did the things that damaged me. There's people that were taking care of me. It's just that they had their own problems, and predators seen that. And so they took advantage of the situation. See, they were on the hunt. Everybody's on the hunt. Whether it's to eat, whether it's to make them feel good. You know, that's a natural thing. We're a predator. And we got to learn where to put that predator at, right? So just all survival skills. Like, what's our mom quit giving us milk or whatever that, you know, that could survive us, right? We had to go out there and catch that dang on squirrel by ourselves. Or the whole village didn't eat. And there's still cultures like that, and we think we could go in there and make them have grocery stores and make our way of life theirs. It ain't worked for us, guys. It ain't worked for us at all. Them people, they might have little scuffles in the village, but we don't bring in massacres to the village until we give somebody words and ideas that they weren't living by before. You know, we're just making up stuff as we go. Get it, guys? We're just making it up as we go. This is all just a human experiment. We haven't been here long. This is what you got to understand. 300,000 years is not long. And I keep saying 300,000 years. It may be two something. There's a debate about it. Because we keep finding more, because the system, the people that had the system was like, nope, you can't go no further than Clovis, because this will not fit the narrative. And now, you know, them people have backed up and died off or whatever, and I'm not happy about it, right? I'm not happy they died. I'm just happy that way of thinking went with them, and we dug further, and we found more and more different species. The feet in New Mexico, they're a subspecies of us, right? They were here before us, or maybe that was a pre-species of. Oh, I can't think of it right now. So I'm not going to let that bother me. Before I would let that bother me. That was like horrible to misspeak or not to have whatever, because in society you get a lot further if you can talk right. even the little ghetto kid, right? I had the proper English language to walk into my friends' houses as a teenager and give their parents the confidence that they would be safe with me, and when they were, because I never let nobody mess with them. You had to go through me. That's why, I had a lot of people hang out with me. I never noticed that until I started going out in public when I was an adult. And I left Mississippi for a while, and I came back. And my child was like, wow, you're popular. And I never thought I was. People recognize you. It's just because I grew up here. That was the best part of me, that was just the best part of me at that time, because I had a lot of growth and learning then, because I wasn't under constant attack of having to fight every day, of keeping that shield up. And I see that now, and now I know to let that shield down. And like I said, I'm sitting here talking like this is a lecture. I'm telling myself this. This is me talking to me. This is me recognizing the things in life that just intervene, and I was lucky to catch and grab and keep my ass out of jail. It's not the systems, it's the way they're taught, because they changed the training back then. And we were friends. We weren't enemy combatants. We were people in the neighborhood that they wanted to know, because honestly, they started to care again. They started to care about individuals. And I'm not saying they don't care about individuals. I have people in my life that go to jail on a daily basis because they feel safe there. Because some people understand, the jailers or whatever, they understand why they're there, because there's no room in the nut house for them or whatever. And that's not where they need to be. So those people take compassion and empathy and understanding, and I appreciate them. I appreciate them to give people like me just a little safety and grace. I can remember when I couldn't do a 9-to-5 job, I picked up little jobs. And one of them was protecting some of my junkie friends when they come up off the boat. They get galore of things, and then the whole time they were here, they would be freaking out that somebody was taking them and stuff. And since I'm allergic to all that, I had no fear of doing it. And I was like, well, I can give them a little relief, I can let them know their pills ain't being stolen. I don't care about money, right? So it wasn't like I would steal their shit or sell it. I wanted them to have a safe place, and someone that if they did overdo it, that I could get them help, I've done a lot of things for people in life that I didn't realize. As many detoxes that I've gone through for friends and people that don't even know me. I've seen it, and I was like, hey, look, a lot of some vitamin B and orange juice and water, and a safe space can do a lot for you right now. You need me to hold you, or just hold my hand, or maybe put a pillow up against the wall you keep beating your head up against, and I've seen that. And I may not have had the answers for them, but I can protect them. And I've always tried to protect people around me to the point to where it was detriment to myself. Never protected myself because I was putting myself out there to situations I may not have been in, and I don't regret them. Not at all. Like, I don't regret giving up my career and raising my son to take care of my parents and watch them slowly die. That just, wow. I have never, I don't want to experience that anymore. And when I see that, and people that I try and help, and I try and tell the people I help, I can only do this for a little while until it gets to me. And then I understand that I'm the only one that has been helping them, or maybe I'm not, but I filled that niche that they needed to help them. And then I start just overdoing myself, and I try and tell them that I can't do it no more, and they don't have the resources to find. At this point, I've lost my mind, and I can't help them find the resources, and it's not out there because they can't afford it. A pay-for system, they can't even afford it. It's confusing to my brain why money would stop someone from helping another person, another human being. You know, that makes my head hurt. And so now let's look at the physical side, right? This is what I've seen in the physical side in these last few days or whatever. I don't even know what day it is. Still trying to do the dishes. It's tiring. Last night I had real, like I got too analytic, and the logical voice lost out. The one that was sitting on the couch watching the analytical voice, and this is how it plays out in my head like a movie. I can see analytical guy sitting there with a something to smoke, and watching my analytical side, and that finally has some answers, you know, and my angry side, the one that don't quite understand, arguing, fighting. The logical side is just sitting there and being like, yeah, I got this figured out, yo. I got this figured out. And that's the part I got to watch, right? I got this figured out, that logical side, right? Because that side automatically thinks we're better. No, we're not. We'll never be better, probably. We may ever gain the abilities we had, and that's okay, because we've lived so far without them. We just gotta embrace the abilities we have learned now to survive. It's no different than losing your eyesight. Do you quit pouring water? No. Do you still spill water? I hate to tell you, you spill water when you're alive, when you can see. So it really doesn't make a difference to worry about that. And I see this in my head now, and I hope it can help me. I hope it can beat out the other voices, but I gotta watch it too. You know, I gotta watch it that I think that I found the answer. Because there's too many questions that I've only answered 2 right now. Can I feel happy again? And can I take a shower at this point? I don't mind getting down in the dirt and dirty, you know, but before I get in my bed, I wanna be clean. And I can't do that all the time. Sometimes it's just paper napkins and alcohol that's beside my bed. And I know that's bad for my skin. But in my brain, I can't get in my bed until that's wiped off of me. And I never used to be that way. It's debilitating. It's hard to put one foot in front of the other, and that's okay, because that's what I had to do. And to think of the times I couldn't, that was even more depressing and shaming and all. Even though I had all the good parts that wasn't itchy and scratchy, you know, the part, you know, that can hurt me, the bobo that I can see, or the folds of my fat. Like I had a breakdown the other day because I had a panic attack, and instead of fighting the panic attack and making it worse, I just let it go, and that's the part that I wanted to document, the effects of the ups and downs and how many minutes, because I don't know when all this happens. It's like I don't conceive time. Now, I try and be early because I know time's important to other people, and so I made that important to me, and I get mad when people can't make that time. I get really, really, I mean, like, stupidly mad. No reason for it. You don't know if there's something that stops them in traffic, you know? You don't know. Or maybe they had to stop and go to the bathroom or get something to drink because they just couldn't do it at the moment. Their brains are trying to work too and figure out. And sometimes it gets so overwhelming because there's so much to do, and you done put yourself in them situations. And like I said, sometimes I can do it all in one day. Others I can't, and I have to accept that. You know, those times I can hit clarity, I think I misuse them. You know, it's trying to tell everybody what I see about myself. Because that's my gear, right? To help someone else. That's my gear. That's what helps me feel like I'm a better person, and I'm doing something to better the world or take pain away from someone else. Because I'm always in pain. I've been in pain. Just pain. But back to the physical side now that we bring up pain. I do have arthritis down my whole spine. And my neck it was like reversed. Like your neck's supposed to come down here and it goes down here. But when I went through that windshield, it opposited or whatever. I can't think of the words right now. And that's okay. Keep going. Just don't stop your process. And so the migraines I haven't had a migraine in 2 days. I've had headaches. I think it's 2 days. But it's longer than one, right? Still have that tension, and I'm not clenching my teeth. And this is how I know some of it's working, and it works right now, right? Works right now, not tomorrow maybe. And that's okay too, and I have to keep telling myself this. But my head and my voices, we gonna make it, you know? Like I said, if the whole world falls down beside us, I've let other things fall down beside me and only be able to control one situation, and that's not going to change either, because we might not be Homo sapiens sapien, but we'll be a subset of the human species, because environmental changes will push extreme changes in us. Like slowly they see our temperatures changing as the world has been getting warm. They see in children now, I believe, I've seen a study, and you gotta be careful about them studies, about who paid for them studies. You know, that's why it's so hard for me to gain proper information, and I seek out for people who do have the right set of mind, that I can trust, that information I have seen from them, vetted, and brought me down the right track to find that to vet them, to vet the information they're trying to tell me. And that's complicated for me with an 8th grade education. That only complicated for me with an 8th grade education, but it's also complicated for all the things that I see and don't add up of what I was told. And I keep emphasizing on that. I'm not telling you to give up everything you see and you've been told and what you believe in. I'm not telling you that at all. I'm just saying, drop that down at the wayside for a moment. Don't ever forget what you believe in, right? Because I thought I did. I thought that and I may come to a different conclusion tomorrow. You know, I'm not. I just, you know, my brain needs honesty and truth right now. Honesty and truth, because I used to love to sit and get high and listen, I mean, and go into conspiracy theories, because I could research that, of what is out there, of what they have let come out or slip, and I have to watch what slips, you know. Is it just propaganda? And so if it's so fanciful and whimsical that so many people have to collaborate, I think back to the time where, I don't forget what it's called, but we would give a word at one part, and then they would go down and we'd see what the story was by the time it got to the end of the line. And that's the way life is, guys. That you know, you pick up cursors in your life that you try and be a better person, and I understood that, and I didn't know that, so I tried to watch that. That was my safe space for trying to gain proper information, to always remember that human condition, to try and make up words to express blue. We never had blue, because it was we didn't need it, right? We didn't have to write it down and describe it to someone that didn't see it. You okay, Mommy? You laid on your stick and it moved. And that's another thing, my poor little crazy dog, right, Kira. She's been amazed. She's been speechless for the first time in her life. Me sitting there analyzing her now for years. Helped me. I didn't even notice it. Like, that helped me figure out that this was a process I've been doing my whole life. And her circles, and I watched them get less and less wider now that I heard it out loud. And I can go back and see it on film of me saying it out loud. It's just the way I learn. And thanks for all the researchers that put that information out there, and I could find it, and gave me those little tidbits of information with my 8th grade education that I may not have went and looked for, because I heard a word, a keyword, in my brain that said, hey, that check that out, bro. Check that out. Talking to myself. It's funny. Last time I went for my disability before I got locked up, and the whole time I was doing it, I knew I was going to get this denied again, because it's Mississippi, right? It's the hardest state to get it in, and it's the lowest probably paying too. And I seen what they did to me, right? Like, I was working full force, and when I lost it and I had my mental breakdowns, and it was recorded because that's when I was diagnosed and put in the hospital for attempts and stuff, Had this amazing insurance that paid for everything. With the deductible, I didn't even have no copays and nothing. So I received really good care. And that's the difference of knowing when you're spit on in your face, right? From people that's supposed to do no harm. They're put up against this system to just look away. They get numb to it because the system won't pay for what they can provide for you. And I have to forgive them for that. They're just trying to make a paycheck and ride the boat or whatever they get into that makes them feel good, because they've worked hard and they deserve it. Like that beer, that commercial. This bud's for you, and you worked hard, you deserve a beer. And then that stuck in my brain my whole life. Till this day, like that day I worked hard and I got something accomplished. I needed that beer, that one beer. And I've clocked it down to one for myself, right? This time. And I got to watch that too, because the first one might not give me that that I felt the first time, and I can't search for that in that one tool. That's why I think it's important for me to get into what I'm saying here and to share, because there's a lot of people misusing tools. And maybe one of them can get something out of this. You're hurting, bro. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody's hurting, whether they think of it or not. They're in conflict with themselves. They wouldn't be angry if they weren't. I'm mad at all the wrong persons and all the wrong things. Systems that was set up to help people that bad actors got into because they're sick, for their enjoyment or their pleasure or their way of escaping. They think it's enjoyable or pleasurable because you become numb to it. To stifle that little voice that you think's so weak. That's the only one saving you. And I can't. There's times in my life that I think that I forget to look in the mirror. I think I'm ashamed to look in the mirror. And I shouldn't be, because I'm afraid to see my eyes blink or my mouth stutter or my feet move or my body mannerisms. But it helped for that moment to give my brain some synchronicity, feel like it mattered again. That it is the whole physical body of me. It controls everything I do. What I feel, what I taste, what I touch. I can taste food for the first time in a long time. And I don't have the migraines. And yeah, my back and neck hurts, but it's not debilitating. That's the physical changes I see, and I can't revel in that, right? I can't revel in that. I have to understand that that's what got me through the moment, because I can feel the tension still there, and I can feel the want to bite down and just clench. And the whole time I know it's hurting me, and I'm doing it to myself, but your whole brain is physical. It tells you to point that finger or the other finger, and there's a choice there, right? I don't have to point at no one else. I don't have to flip no one else off unless I'm playing and having fun. Like people, if they met a friend, a loved one of mine, that we go out and or sit at home, really, because I don't really go out no more, and we will just, if you don't know us, you would think we hate each other, and then they might hate me, right? And I might think this is all my game, and but they love me, and I love them. They know this. Deep down, you might not like somebody, but you love them. I hope you do. You know? But if they hurt us, we just dog each other. We used to call it the dozens, right? When we were kids, it was the dozens. I don't know what y'all call it now, just horseplay, maybe? I guess that would be physical. And see, this is where my brain goes, trying to break it all down. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what name I give it or whatever to express it. I know it. I see it in my head. No reason for me to get upset at myself or someone else that can't express it. It's just words and shit that they're trying to express to you. It's crazy, the things I see now that I would get mad about. And like I said, I've done this process. The last time, I was like the 6th time in the hospital, and it wasn't working for me. You know, I figured it out. This is just, it's hurting me. And like I said, I grabbed things from it that did help. But like this time, it was definite. I'm not going back in the hospital, bro. I'm not going back. Like, they made a big deal about this new hotline, and I had some trouble that I had to talk to it about, and it's the same system. Oh, wait, let me find a provider that can talk to you at where you're at. And so all this time of having to recall and make phone calls and this and that and the other, I was just ready to stop. That system don't work for me, right? So I'm not gonna call it again. I'm gonna call a friend. Maybe they can just put the phone there and pretend they're listening, like my mom would do sometimes when she couldn't be there, and she'd put the phone down and to certain people, and she didn't want to, but she'd do what she did, what she had to do at that moment that she was in the process of, and she had to get that done because that was for her family and to provide that moment, right? She didn't mean to ignore that person. My poor mom, man. You don't understand that relationship that I never grieved with her. I was mad at her for leaving because she had never done that before in my life. Like, I would move out, grow up and move out. And it wouldn't be 3 months, man. She'd leave my dad and come move in with me. And I was making good money, so I tried to pay her because she didn't qualify, but for the least of what they give her, because she had to work jobs that were $2.15 an hour, or when she bartended, she had to pay the owner of the bar, right? $35 to $40, I can remember, just to work that night and get tips. Not even make $2.15 an hour. That's still happening today, man. That's wrong. Like these doctors and stuff that have just let this go and move on. I know in my head they knew You can't tell me, a doctor, after 12 years of school, and it may take longer for some professions, right? For some specialties. It may take longer. I had to realize, they're just people too. Like for instance, an example. When I was a kid, I can remember standing in a hallway with family members that had to have surgery by an emergency, but they couldn't afford the blood. So other people that knew them would come and give blood right there in the hospital, same hospital they were getting the operation or what have you, that they needed the blood. And we used to do that right there. And then I had an instance with a friend of mine and that I'm trying to help. And we go to his appointment to have the operation, and they made us stand out here at 3:30 in the morning to catch this ride. And I'm grateful for the ride, that it provided, because before he missed a lot, that the ride, because of rides, and so we finally get there, and I don't know where my point is again. Oh, so he's supposed to get this operation, and there was a bunch of gun violence that weekend, and his blood count wasn't right, and if they had spare blood, that wasn't an emergency, and since it was an elective surgery, that he wouldn't die from right away, right? They couldn't justify giving him the blood he needed in case there was something wrong with the surgery. And I'm like, well, I'm O negative. Take mine. He's like, oh, we don't do it like that. Why did we change that system? Because the people I can remember getting surgery right then, right there, they took the blood they needed to replace with it. It might not be the right exact blood, but I'm O negative, for crying out loud. I may not be able to take other blood, maybe, I think. Can't remember no more. But I think my blood's exchangeable. That's just something, another cog in a wheel that makes life more difficult for people. The worry, the stress that they don't need. Maybe having to sit out here and wait for the ride again at 3 o'clock in the morning. We live out in the woods, man. I live in a dead end. I have acreage, and I'm 14 miles from really any supermarket or anything. But my neighbors are kind of close. I don't know if their Ring doorbell can pick me up. I know they have one because I heard people talking to it. I don't know what they said. I can't hear that. I'm not Superman. Or did he have hearing? I think his was sight, huh? But, it just don't make no sense. The cogs in the wheel, or the links missing, that things that were good that we could have kept, that are logical, that take the stress and pain off of someone in that moment. We should try and do that, and then we got to get back to the stuff that works and the stuff that don't work. We're just going by who can pay for the most to get their invention out, or their product out, or what have you. You can't tell me doctors didn't know that it was people were getting addicted to things, and they do it all wrong, right? A loved one of mine. I'm trying to keep it very general because I don't want to call no one out. I don't blame nobody. I don't blame no systems. I blame bad actors who are sick that got in there and made it their way to fit everyone. It just made it easier for them. And they thought it would make it easier for everyone else. So I can't stress enough, this may not be for you, but maybe you can grab something, a piece of information that could help you live one more day. One more day. Until they can cure that, or we make strides all the time as long as we keep the money element out of it. The profit, all these isms we sit and we think we don't like or what have you, they all work. There's one thing that makes it not work, right? Is people, human beings thinking that they know better for other human beings. I had to keep telling myself this. This is how I'm gonna feel better today. This is how it might not make me angry that someone didn't know they hurt my feelings. And that's okay. You know, they're just trying to figure it out too. And I hope this isn't shaking because the wind's blowing and stuff. And if you can, it's just a bunch of voice. Put it down. Don't look at it. Like I said, like a podcast. If I had a ham radio, it'd be like if I was on there constantly and just not saying 10-4 or what have you. These are all just forms of communication we have. And you got to think of it like being colorblind, right? I watch these amazing things that I wish I could have gave my dad because he was colorblind. And so I watch them put on these I don't know. I ain't gonna try. These glasses that make them see color. And we did that. We understood that because we looked at it and we know it could help someone. And it made them feel something, right? Everything that we were trying to describe, they can actually see it with the physical eye instead of trying to imagine it. And I think that's what's happening now. I have those glasses. And like I said, I don't see it all. And I gotta watch the information I let come in, if I'm ready for it or not. And if I'm not, I gotta learn how to push it away. Like, I didn't sleep last night. I remember turning out my light when the sun was coming up. And I do that all the time. And I don't know if it's because I'm afraid to turn off the light. Haven't figured that one out yet. So, I guess we're going to try. We, as a me, if I had all these voices, you know, as people that I live with, be like, you tell one of them bitches pay rent, you know? And they're right. I wish one of them could go out and make money to pay and help. But all I have is this little game app, Misplay. But that gave me enough confidence and enough self-worth. I don't know what they did for me, man. It pulled me out of this funk to feel like I couldn't provide. And not that I wasn't providing what I could, but it was I was losing that too. And I haven't gained it back yet, and I hope I don't lose it all the way. I gotta get this out so I can wash the dishes and cook and feed the people that work all day. And that became such a task to me because it became such hard work because, like I said, I couldn't taste food no more. So I depended on my smell and feel and touch and texture. All these things, because I lost one thing, started making survival skills for me. And I didn't even know it, and I was so worried about the thing I lost. And I feel like now that I let it go and understand it, like I'm having trouble breathing right now, like I'm going into a panic attack. Because that information is overwhelming. It's blinding sometimes. I gotta breathe. Just keep breathing. Another skill, you know? Another skill I picked up. Somewhere along the way, maybe in a hospital. Maybe in something I read. Doesn't matter where it came from. It works. That's what I'm saying. Don't give up what's you're doing. Don't stop your regimen you got. Just maybe listen and maybe you can find just one little word, because the words mean a lot to me, and they're keywords to look in that file, that secretary in my head that's so overwhelmed, just looking for stuff to try and make sense, for it to add up to the dog picture. A dog's a dog for me, and that picture, because that was told to me. Who's to say it's not a cow? What if we named it a cow instead of a dog? We would have accepted that for decades, right? just makes our life easier. And that's the whole point of this experiment, how we got here as a species. It made our life easier to put these labels and names in boxes. I forgive that too, you know. I understand. I understand where that came from and how that could have been a good action. But it doesn't fit everybody. It's just what you can explain to your brain to make sense. So maybe I want to call a dog a cow, so what? Doesn't hurt anything. I'm not going to sit there and milk the dog. I know the dog goes get a stick and eats poop. Do cows? Hell, maybe that is a damn cow and we named it wrong. You know? I have friends of mine that just born black, right? Their whole family speak country. Stump jumping country, you know? Cornbread fed country. Not them. They speak black, right? It's just the way their brain processes. And I have another friend, right? They have epilepsy, born with it. Yeah, and that was amazing to see her from being in childhood, right? And then to see her as an adult, because my whole childhood I was so worried about her. And she'd come out with us and she couldn't drink and smoke and all that other stuff because of her epilepsy. But I would protect her, you know. I'd remind her, don't do it. You know, we're in the woods, we're at the Blue Hole. I can't get you to the hospital right away. I might get stuck in the Blue Hole, you know, because we go mud riding out there. And I love it, you know. All these people and humans, when we were younger, go ride out at the Blue Hole. And I had this little Civic Chevy. Well, no, maybe it wasn't four-wheel drive or nothing. I think it was front-wheel drive. This little car, right? And they would be out there in these monster trucks with these big tires. Well, I'd been mud riding down the levee my whole life, not driving it. But I've rolled enough times and watched actions and how the people I was with and the person I was with would do this. And this is like, that's what I'm saying. You got to watch who you leave your kids with, man. I have being in a city and not having no water to go just play in. A family member of mine that would watch me would put me in the washing machine, and they'd stick a thing in the washing machine so I could play in the water. That was amazing to me. Fun and amazing, but they were only like 14, 15, man. You don't put a kid in the washing machine. Even if it does do enough to where you can go play your game or take apart something, right? And that's okay. You know, I didn't get hurt. Didn't even put no suds in there. Just let me play in the water. Why not the tub? Were they afraid I would drown because I couldn't squat down to get far enough to, you know? And that was smart on them, right? That was smart on them if that was the reason. If that was it, that was amazing because he just took care of a kid, right? That's little. And is experimenting with the whole world that can get into so many things. Like I can remember at some age of seeing a hot plate for the first time, right? We've always had gas stoves, and the hot plate was sitting there, and it was pretty, and it was red, and it was like this motion, and I can remember clear as day, and I don't even know how old I was, right? Going out with my hand like, and putting my whole hand right on top of the damn hot plate. Now, was that on purpose? My mom felt bad, right? Why would you do that? Because I'd never seen it before. It never caught my attention. And it may have been there before, but that was the first time I noticed it. My dumb ass. Put my whole hand on it, but I was experimenting. I've always been an experimenter. because I think that was a risk factor for me to analyze the risk and the reward. Been trying to think of reward, risk and reward for a long time. And so I would analyze that, and it helped me out. I could let that part of the analytical brain go, and as I debilitated and started losing other things, it's like being childlike again, learning to walk and talk and brush your teeth and wipe your butt. Sit there and wipe extra because I'm not sure if I did it. And that's just sitting on the toilet doing an action. This is how debilitating this disease can make you. And I want people to see that and know that when we're trying, we really are. It's just that we don't have any answers. You know, we don't have the information our brain needs to figure it out for ourselves. It's so important to learn that, you know, that the brain, when you get that rest, and not everybody can. It's important to know that little bit of rest, like I said, the rest I got, I don't know how long it was, right? Because I was in this euphoria of being happy for the first time and feeling and tasting for the first time. I had to watch it, you know. And that's good. I think we talked, and I think I got some stuff set. And like I said, it was hard last night. I had to think of something else and I couldn't. And I gotta watch it. I gotta watch where this goes for me. I gotta watch. I think I'm not cured. I'll never be cured. I gotta remember that, right? Because it's a human condition to want to fit in. It's okay, you know. You just gotta fit in with yourself, in your own brain. I see that now, and I hope it can give just a little hope to that person that needs it to watch this process, because you don't know how private I am. I was so mad that Google put my address and where I live, and you can look straight at it and zoom in on it, bro. That just, you don't know what that did to me. Google would come here. I'm sure I don't know if they recorded it or not. I'm sure they did. They just put it aside because my crazy butt was over there with a machete cutting down limbs for my goats. And I see this Google car come up, right? And I'm like, don't you come down this street, bro. And I had the machete. I'm talking, rah, 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 rah. And every time I see the Google car, I don't care to this day. It makes me feel better. I see the Google car running around mapping shit, I flip it off. Hope it got that picture, because none of your damn business where I live, right? And I wasn't ready to give up that information. So I made it angry. I made it defensive. And don't you take no pictures of my house, and don't you put on that internet. If people can hear you and hear me, then you turn it off. Because I was angry that I didn't have that choice to make that decision whether I can share that or not, whatever it was. Because I have a very bad mouth, and I say a lot of very bad things, and I say them out loud to myself sometimes, or I talk to myself, and that's okay. And I answer myself. That is not crazy, because you got to have the answer to quit talking to yourself. It'll quiet it down some, and it might not be the exact answer or something, but it quiets it down some to think that you do have an answer. You just can't stop at that answer, right? That's what I'm trying to tell you. Don't stop at that answer, right? Don't stop at that question that's been answered in your brain, because there's still so much more that can help it. The whole time I'm sitting here doing this, right? You can't see this. These are the physical mannerisms. I want people to get over. The public that sees them. This is why I wanted the equipment to do the whole documentary. I can feel it coming. I can feel this process coming. And so the granular ideas, I just gotta bring them back down. You know, I gotta put them in their place. Say it's okay for right now. You can think these, but it's not true. You know, it's not true, and not all true. So love yourself, man. Love yourself. You can make it another day until there's an answer.